Just wanted to recap some of the stuff that we worked on today. First and foremost, we were talking about equals and opposites, hips and shoulders, the back part of your shoulder, the front part of your rib cage, and vice versa. Getting those things to all come back and be aligned, it's important. So we're going to start this little sequence here with the work that we kind of finished with at Alive, and that is those somatic exercises. So wherever you're seated, whatever kind of comfortable seat you're in should be fine. I'm going to bring hands to hips, and please remember, these are acromioclavicular joints up here where your collarbone and your shoulder blade come together. You want those pointing up. Being a forward thinker, being somebody who does jujitsu, chances are your shoulders are rounded forward. So to get already in the place, they're taking shoulders up and then rolling them down and back. And remember, we want to create a relationship here where your rib cage is supported by your shoulder blades. Your shoulder blades are supported by your rib cage. Those things, they have independent movement of one another, but they are reinforcing each other in good architecture. So once that is true, hands to hips, you're going to take your first side and bring your hand up towards your ear and exhale, relax. Keeping hips facing forward, please inhale as you take a little twist. Exhale back to center. Inhale, twist, back to center. Okay. Only 3 times, switching sides. And then we did the point for your levator scapula muscle, the muscle that elevates your shoulder blades. And that little bit of work was turning your head halfway, looking up, exhaling, looking down. Inhale, looking up, and then down. Back to center, give yourself a moment, and then switch sides. Remember the goal of that, making awkward movements on purpose, not letting your brain get used to it. And it's a lot easier and better to do that 6 times a day for 3 reps rather than to do that 3 times a day for 6 reps. You want it to stay weird and confusing for your body so that we can hopefully bring good blood and energy into that spot that's stuck in between your shoulder blades. From here, let's go ahead and make our way up prone. So from your tummy, we did some work from crocodile position, right? So elbows come wide, rest your head on the back of your hands and slide your shoulders down. Now I had you bend your knee and try to push your foot up towards the ceiling without externally rotating your leg. That's not particularly easy, but you want to stay heavy in both shoulders and both hips so that you can really target the hip flexor here, right? Rather than taking external hip rotation and getting a little bit more into the groin, you really want to target the hip flexor. We did a couple rounds of that. And then from here, we were practicing taking your shoulder blades up and retracting them behind you so that you might, in theory, be able to grab for your ankles, to grab for a gi belt, to grab for something that would allow you to take upward facing bow pose. Now again, here you don't want to take a wide stance. You want this to be as narrow as possible because you can see how that changed in my body. If I take my legs wide, I'm not getting much happening with my shoulders. But if I can keep my knees narrow, I get a lot more opening to my chest. Now, since that's not easy, we then moved to being on hands and knees. So we took hip extension again from this position. I had you take your knee, pointing it down, right? Not out. Knee was pointing down. And then inhaling up and then down. And then up and then down. Okay. Now, this is not easy at all. So once you did that a couple times, we added a little bit of sunbird work, right? So remember, you're not collapsing into your chest. You're not overcompensating. You're just right in the middle. And then from here, you're going to inhale. Knee stays pointing down, but maybe take some back extension. Different from that. Knee stays pointing down. And then exhale, go ahead and come back to center. Now, if you were regular people, I'd have you reach and then crunch. But again, this crunch here, you're already really strong. We need to uncrunch a little bit here to bring balance. So we're going to really focus on the reaching from fingers, reaching to toes, coming back to center. So there's were those. We also talked a little bit about camel pose, right? So from camel pose, shoulders up, down, and back. Hands can come onto your hips. Thinking about looking up and letting your rib cage rest into your shoulder blades. Maybe taking arms up. Right? Coming out of that is important, using your breath, using your pelvic strength to come out of that. Great opportunity to get into your shoulders. From there, we took it to the floor. So from the ground, we had you in a nice, easy windshield wiper type shape. Heavy on your hips, heavy on your shoulders. And then from here, we took a gi belt. And as you were inhaling, you were able to practice sinking your rib cage down into your shoulder blades while taking some arm mobility stuff, right? So rather than having this be a bunch of click, 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 pop, 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 click, 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 pop, pop, pops, just trying to relax and let this be fluid. Okay? Now once you were able to let your chest be wide and to really relax your rib cage into your shoulder blades, you did some windshield wipers. So remember, a little bit of space in between your feet, right? Not narrow, not as wide as mount, but just something kind of neutral. You're gonna then let yourself sway from one side to the other without stressing out your knees. And if here you can feel a place where your shoulder blade wants to come off of the ground, you're going to slacken a little bit. You're going to keep your shoulder heavy and let gravity help your knees to relax down in these twists. Again, targeting opposite hips and shoulders, bringing comfort into these places. And remember, you also have this tool from your prone position. If you wanted to leave your hands outstretched in front of you, you could bend your knees and do the same sort of windshield wipering here, still trying to rebalance and regroup. You can even take it so far as into the scorpion stretches that we do in yin class. Finally here, from this position, and this might not be something that you have to do very often, but it might help keep balance underneath the rib cage. So I had you palpate, hands on your ribs, breathing, right? Feeling your abdominal muscles rise and fall, and trying to make sure that they are in sync with one another, right? One side isn't stronger than the other, right? Everything feels balanced, I hope. And if not, you're gonna make pies. You're gonna take your fingers and kind of just massage underneath your rib cage a little bit. And if that's sore or tender, you're gonna take notice of that, and you're never gonna do something painful. But if it does feel like you could put your stomach back in place, you're gonna go perpendicular and then curl your fingers up. But even if you're not literally trying to move your stomach, it just feels nice to massage around this area sometimes. All right, so with that done, you're gonna take external hip rotation of your left leg. With your right arm, you're gonna reach up, keeping your head heavy to the ground, but of course, space between your neck and the ground. You're gonna pretend you're getting punched in the stomach. So you're gonna make a belly breath in, and as you exhale, that crunching down of your stomach is gonna be the thing that moves your hand over towards your opposite knee. So head stays heavy, and these are little sit-ups, sitting up from one side to the opposite hip. And I'm speculating that your right side is gonna be a little bit easier. So when you're done, you're gonna switch sides. And if you need more work here on your left side, that's fine. Right now, this isn't about number reps. This is about strengthening the muscles that hold stuff together here rather than just the connective tissue. So feel free to do as many of these as you need to for balance. Oh, another thing we talked about was being from here. Working hands and feet, hands to feet, still moving from the middle of your body. So play with those for a little bit and let me know how that goes.